Bethesda just dropped a huge update on Starfield Shattered Space DLC, and apparently they're returning to the roots of their handcrafted content that we're obviously used to from playing their previous games. A very different experience to the open world procedural generation that they used on the base game of Starfield, and something I personally, that's the reason I love Bethesda. Apparently they've also done some gameplay changes to melee combat to make it more prevalent while you're playing. And interestingly, this first new story DLC that's coming out, Shattered Space, was actually included in the premium edition of Starfield. So many of you probably already own it without even knowing, which obviously means you'll be getting it for free. But if you haven't grabbed it yet, you can grab it from the link below in the description at a discounted price before it comes out. Otherwise, do let me know if you're planning to reinstall Starfield to play Shattered Space. And now let's jump into the Shattered Space developer showcase and see what it's all about. Let's take a look.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. It's been an incredible journey since Starfield launched last year. I want to thank all of you for making it the biggest launch in Bethesda Game Studios history.
Damn, biggest launch in that history.
Your continued support and feedback drive us to making Starfield the best experience possible. Since launch, we've added new features.
If you didn't know, they added a bounty hunting system where you could scan targets and turn them in for credits. And they listened to our feedback. We got the highly requested maps, not only of the cities, but also of the planet maps that have points of interest.
Technical enhancements, fresh content, and the newly released Rev 8, Starfield's first ever land vehicle.
If you didn't check out my deep dive on the Rev 8, it's honestly some of the most fun I've had in Starfield since the game came out. It felt like it solved the boring in-between of when you land on a planet and you have to go to a point of interest. Now you've got a fun land vehicle that actually gets you there, and it just adds to the adventure. And also, hats off to Bethesda for actually doing it properly and not just throwing it in as some feedback people wanted. They actually did a good job of adding vehicles to the game. It feels good to use them.
Now we're expanding Starfield's galaxy with a brand new, completely handcrafted world and deep new storyline. This September, we're launching Starfield's first major expansion, Shattered Space. Today, we're giving you the first look at the mysterious homeworld of House Faroon. So let's dive in and explore.
This is the most exciting faction to me in Starfield, and it's a faction we had to wait to come out in a DLC. Also, everything about this DLC seems to have a creepy undertone, which I dig.
The fate of our house was written among the stars. The great serpent tells us there is nothing to fear.
Do not for.
At least, not for those who walk the path. You will rise as Varun.
So we join House Faroon in Shattered Space, which is going to be hella cool. I feel like the base game of Starfield seems so grounded, but this just looks new, exciting, something I've not seen before.
We love Starfield's massive open galaxy, but from early on in our planning, we knew we wanted to introduce a more secluded and handcrafted location, similar to what you've seen.
I mean, we got to pause the video right there because he said the main problem I feel like people had with Starfield and all the reviews was that it missed the handcrafted element that all of Bethesda's other games have. You look at Fallout 4, you look at Skyrim, you look at all Bethesda's games, the handcrafted locations and stories that you discover, instead of mass-produced point of interest locations that are dotted around a ridiculously massive galaxy that I still probably haven't even touched the surface of. Joe literally says, we like the open galaxy and how there's so much stuff to explore, but now we're going to the handcrafted stuff. That's what I was missing. I feel like that's what I love about Bethesda. That's what they do really well. So if this DLC has more of that, that's exciting to me.
Handcrafted location, similar to what you've seen from our past expansions.
Okay, cool.
There's so much mystery to House Faroon, and because they've so thoroughly isolated themselves, it made them the perfect faction to explore in a completely self-contained experience.
And so you arise, one of the promised of House Faroon.
From the minute you arrive on Varun Kai, the story never sends you off planet. You're free to leave at any time, but the story is fully centered around life on the Varun homeworld.
Everything you discover, every location you visit, every side mission you seek out, it all tells the story of what happened here and how the Varun people have survived cut off from the comforts of the settled systems and the rest of humanity.
Also, you can tell they've thought about using the Rev 8 vehicle in this world. And it's great to see a crashed ship on a planet. Like, how have I not seen that before, like, as a point of interest? I mean, this is cool. We need more stuff like this.
Vindicator. Harbinger. Reverend.
Promised. One of our main themes throughout the base game is humanity's search for knowledge. Shattered Space is still about that search, but it's also about what happens when it goes too far. It's a very extreme pursuit, and it has backfired horribly for the people of House Va'ruun.
My brother Qasim has been missing for days. I'm beginning to worry that something terrible has happened to him.
This is pretty spooky. The flickering lights is quite unusual for Bethesda. Footsteps too. Okay. What the heck was that? Found you. Oh, damn, this armor looks sick. Look at this. We've got some of the Assassin's Creed kind of weaponry there coming out of, like, his fists. And he's got huge shoulder pads and almost like this exosuit that shields his head at the top here. A sword-like weapon in one hand there as well. This must be one of the House Va'ruun zealots.
Before the start of Shattered Space, a secret experiment involving grav drive technology went terribly wrong.
It resulted in a massive tear in the fabric of space-time.
Oh my god, it's a Dragon Break. If there's a Starfield Easter egg now in the Elder Scrolls 6, I'll be like, oh, if it came from this moment, that would be hilarious. This is the vibe I'm at right now. There's no way ML didn't intend to do this.
Massive tear in the fabric of space-time.
Okay.
That swallowed a significant portion of the Va'ruun capital of Dazra. You arrived just a few weeks after the Vortex incident. It's still very fresh in everyone's minds. There's a massive crater in their city. Nothing has been reconstructed. People are still searching for missing loved ones.
Supplies are limited. There is so much work to be done.
The Scaled Citadel, the seat of power for the Va'ruun government, is now trapped within a strange field of energy. Among those missing is Anasco Va'ruun, leader of the Va'ruun people and speaker for the Great Serpent. In his absence, the minor houses that make up House Va'ruun are all vying for control over the faction's future.
It kind of reminds me a bit of Far Harbor. Like, you've got all of these different factions, and I really hope these factions have a strong enough storyline to make them exciting.
The Zealots were once a part of Va'ruun society. They want to continue the Serpent's crusade. They'll demand an inordinate amount of credits or firearms. Worst case, a seat at the High Council, or even the reinstatement of their house.
You better be able to join House Va'ruun. So these are the Zealots attacking us right now. There's some cool environments here as well, which look pretty interesting to explore. We also get to see this berserker running at us just here. I really hope we can get this armor set because it looks so awesome.
All must serve. Set me free. All must serve. Set me free. All must serve. Set me free. All must serve. Save me.
Looks trippy.
Va'ruun Kai and Dazra City are like no other location in the base game.
Good. I want something different. I say that because the base game had like some interesting sort of faction settlements, but because everything felt so grounded though, it felt like, yeah, you're in space, you're exploring the unknown, but you'd kind of, you know, you'd seen it before. I think Starfield was trying to be kind of realistic and close to what's possible, but in doing so, you kind of missed out on that true sci-fi what-if situation, and I feel like this hopefully is going to deliver on that, because that's what I felt like I needed.
From its inception, House Varun has been driven by a singular, unique vision. Because of this, Varun Kai has a completely distinct visual identity. We say it's very alien. You'll see this in the extraterrestrial landscape, gravity anomalies, and much more.
Oh, sick. Okay, this is a lot more interesting way of doing. This is kind of like when you enter one of those temples and you've got the 0G sort of area. This big orb here is a gravity anomaly, all the rocks floating in it. And when
Gravity
we enter
anomalies,
that, we
and much
actually are
more.
floating around, which is really cool. I hope there's some combat situations within this. Because it looks a bit like a puzzle thing going on as we're flying around the environment here to access something. Like we just access this. Is that a player home or like house or something? What is this? It looks very unique. Oh, it's a memory sequence, I think. Reminds me of Fallout 4 memory sequence.
Varun Kai is located in the Kavnik system, and it's not the friendliest environment. They believed the Great Serpent led them to Varun Kai, and their whole purpose in being here is to await its return.
Cool.
You have no concept of what the Great Serpent demands of us. All must serve.
It's a dangerous planet, and a lot of the people have retreated to Dazra in order to survive and protect their culture and their way of life. Now you'll find areas of the planet that were abandoned and have since been taken over by Zealots, Spacers, and Crimson Fleet.
I just noticed the Game of Thrones Easter egg here. I think this is made out of like ship parts or something.
Fleet. And humans aren't the only dangers in the Badlands of the planet. With the line between reality and the vortex breaking down, creatures from the other side can slip through, like the Vortex Horror. When you disturb the barrier between our world and theirs, they can sense it, creating these honestly terrifying ambush scenarios.
Terrified.
In the base game.
This is also a new pistol we see right here, which looks pretty unique.
In the base game, there's a lot of focus around ranged gun combat. You can engage in a firefight from way in the distance. In Shattered Space, we're closing that distance. Space is scary.
Firstly, we see a House Varun sword. And also, if you've not seen the Starfield updates or been following it, they have actually updated melee weapons now so that they have ranked tiers of damage, just like the range weapons. So now melee weapons are actually useful. They scale into the late game and you can build your character around it. Though I still think the gunplay in Starfield just feels better than the melee combat. We also see a gravity grenade here, which is super unique. This is the kind of uniqueness I think I wanted from Starfield. Like Skyrim has shouts, Fallout has like radiation weapons and just other wacky contraptions. Starfield, what does it have? You know, it has some space powers, but this looks a bit more exciting to me, you know, the grav grenade.
Gun combat. You can engage in a firefight from way in the distance.
So they have more of a focus on
Shattered
melee
Space,
combat now,
we're closing that
apparently.
distance. Space is scary.
I wonder how they've done that.
Part of getting that across is amping up the aggression and the chaos of combat.
Cool. I wonder how they've done that though. Dude, that is sick. These creatures do seem more aggressive. But I think if he stood up there, he'd probably be pretty safe. Because these guys don't have ranged attacks. That weapon looks nutty. It's like a Varun machine gun. Was that like a boss creature? It's curious.
As you explore the city of Dazra and the surrounding planet, you'll learn the truth of what happened, become entangled in the political feud between the minor houses, and ultimately decide the fate of House Varun. A fate that could affect the rest of the settled systems.
I wonder how it could affect the rest of the cell systems. I just want to join the Zealots and make everyone else crazy. Go for the full-on evil route.
We can restore the intended order of things.
We could.
Thank you for joining us for a closer look at Shattered Space. We worked hard to make this a journey you won't forget. We're incredibly grateful for your support and passion. Stay tuned for more updates as we head toward launch on September 30th.
It's so close. Shattered Space. The first DLC for Starfield. Here we go. And again, if you brought the premium edition of Starfield, you get this for free. It's included. It says this is the first story expansion. So I'm really curious what's going on next. And I really hope that the handcrafted nature that was mentioned in this trailer comes across in the locations and the stories we can find when we go there. I want this to be like, you go to this planet system and there's lots of handcrafted locations that I'm exploring instead of, you know, the random point of interest that I just thrown out in the original Starfield. I feel like that's going to be something I'm really looking for with this one. Let me know in the comments section if you already know you're going to come back to Starfield to play this one, or if you're going to wait and see what it's like and what people think of it first.